Whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.
Is where we'll be. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the.
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, Tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop, I'll do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up
And move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Baby, yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up. Baby.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
All right. Feel the groove, get on the floor. We got to get on up, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I want to make sure, first off, can everybody hear me? That's the first thing. Can you hear what I'm saying? Is the volume good? Because I'm looking here. Let me check the audio. It looks like I'm getting through just fine. All right. So I can see the green saying I'm getting in. So if that's cool with y'all, then we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Random Topic Sundays. You're on channel GBoot2786. Gavin Richard on Periscope at GavinRich2786 and Facebook. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're blessed and doing safe. Now, you got to hit that notification bell as well if you want to get up when you want to know we're in live and in effect, because there is a shadow ban on this channel. You know, I actually, and it's not just my channel. Thank you, Darius from Atlanta. It's other Black YouTubers. In fact, I don't know if you all saw this, but ever since Elon Musk has taken over Twitter, it was announced that he was releasing some information on shadow bans that Twitter was doing on Twitter that was being done by Twitter, basically confirm, and it came out about 10 hours ago, confirming what a lot of people had suspected. I'm just getting right into it, y'all. So he released some information because remember he stated that he was going to do this because he believed he was going to buy Twitter, obviously clean up everything that would show some bias on the part of the social media giant. And people have been quitting Twitter left and right. But something I have noticed is that since he has taken over Twitter, I have seen my followers increase. So, and even your Jason Black said this in a tweet yesterday. He stated, if he found us at Twitter, just imagine what's at YouTube. What we don't know. So maybe say what you want about Elon Musk. I'm not defending him. I think he has had his company certainly has had issues with racial discrimination. I'm aware of. So, but I do like what he's doing. A lot of these liberals need to get that work in. They need that 1-2 combo for this stuff and the shit that they've been pulling. But this is serious. Elon Musk shows shadow banning of conservatives was no conspiracy theory. This is from The Hill. The practice used in online moderation that consists of preventing a user's content from being seen by others, either partially or totally, without the user being notified or aware of it. That's the definition of shadow ban or shadow banning according to dictionary.com. So Musk to get internal emails from Twitter's prior ownership out into the public domain, Musk has tapped Matt Taibbi, formerly of Rolling Stone magazine, who has since gone to Substack, and Barry Weiss, formerly of the New York Times, and currently the owner of a new media company, the Free Press. Taibbi and Weiss were chosen because they have no allegiance or obligation to anyone but themselves, and their resumes are impressive. In the document dump allocated to Weiss, there are actual receipts showing the shadow banning and suppression of Twitter accounts carried out by top executives at Twitter. These blacklists, according to internal emails, included a trends blacklist, which made sure tweets would not trend, a search blacklist, which made it almost impossible to find certain accounts or tweets, and a do not amplify setting, which suppressed tweets from getting the kind of interaction they normally would receive if left alone. A new investigation reveals that teams of Twitter employees build blacklists, prevent disfavored tweets from trending, and actively limit the visibility of entire accounts or even trending topics, all in secret without informing users. So this is real. We have confirmed this that a social media giant a la Twitter, which has been in business for over 13 years, roughly a little longer than that, has been shadow banning uh, accounts. Now they're focused on a conservative, but just imagine, but if they're going at the conservative, they got to go at the blacks as well. That they got black. They don't call it a blacklist for nothing without the black in it. So we need to look into this. But I put that link in the description, guys. We're going to go ahead and get started with my other topics. Shout out to the family, everybody that showed up to my event on Saturday. By the way, the laughs before Christmas, right at the well. We had a hell of a time. I can tell you, we had bunch of people, groups of people, everybody that came out, man. We had over 25 to 30 people that showed up. A good number of them walk-ins, people that paid in, that bought their tickets previously, that showed out and showed love. The comedians did their thing. Uh, I've never seen anything like. I've seen. We had even a full room the last couple of months. So the well is where it's at. Y'all are missing out if you're not going to the well. Uh, or we do this Saturday. We do a monthly show. But shout out to all the comedians. I'm gonna show them some love right here. Uh, Chubu, Terry Scott, Nature Boy, Kyron Hargrove, and my headliner, my man Kerry B. I mean, they just killed it, and it was a sight to see. So now I'm looking at this. My video has been blocked on Facebook. See, this is what I'm talking about. I got a bogus copyright strike, and I haven't played any Warner Brothers song. I don't even know what it is. I don't know if they're what, and I don't know what live stream they're talking about. They're not talking about this live stream, but a previous video. So I really hate this crap. But come on, y'all. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. We're going to go ahead and get started. I want to talk about this topic because this has been trending. I saw this sadly on, and you saw from the picture what I had. So Atiana Jefferson, if you don't remember a few years ago, Atiana Jefferson was a black woman that was shot and killed inside a home out in Texas by a white police officer when she was cooking some hamburgers with her nephew. Now, Atiana heard a noise coming from her backyard. The police were responding to a non-emergency wellness check because a neighbor saw the front door was open and lights and didn't see any activity and thought that apparently there was some type of shenanigans that were going on. Now, this happened on October 12th, 2019. So, from the body camera footage, you can see Atiana actually, the police officer going up to Atiana's window where he saw Atiana, where Atiana was holding a firearm. Obviously, she thought someone was breaking in. She saw a light and thought it was a burglar and grabbed her pistol when he opened fire. Now, of course, his challenge as to what happened and what he is claiming is that he stated that Atiana Jefferson had pointed the gun at her. Now, this is it's been 3 days since the trial's been going on. Guys, I hadn't heard anything about this until I actually saw Inside Edition do a story on this case. And the sad part, ladies and gentlemen, was that her Atiana Jefferson's nephew, was present, and he actually testified in this case, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to hear this. So, fair use. I just want to put that disclaimer up. Fair use, guys, because we're going to play the video of his part of his testimony at trial. Go ahead and can I get that fair use disclaimer?
Adult situation, taking the stand at a high-profile murder trial, and the little boy was so effective on the stand, many in the courtroom were brought to tears.
He's the shy 11-year-old star witness for the prosecution at the trial of a cop accused of shooting his beloved aunt to death.
My name is Deion Sanders.
Fort Worth police officer Aaron Dean opened fire on Atiana Jefferson in her own home.
How did you think she was hurt?
Because she was crying and just shaking.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking, is it a dream?
Her nephew Zion Carr had dinner with his aunt, but she burned some hamburgers and opened the door to her house to let out the smoke. A neighbor called a non-emergency police line.
I'm calling about my neighbor.
What's going on there?
Well, the front doors have been open since 10 o'clock. I haven't seen anybody moving around. It's not normal for them to have both of the doors open this time of night.
Officer Aaron Dean's body cam was rolling when he went to check out the backyard. The nephew says when his aunt heard a strange noise, she went to retrieve her gun. Then the cop went around the side of the house. He never announced that he was a police officer, but yelled at her to drop the gun.
Put your hands up! Show me your hands!
A split second later, he fired, killing the 28-year-old woman. He claims she was pointing a gun at him. But when Jefferson's nephew took the stand, he said the gun was pointing down.
Are you sure she didn't have it up at all?
No, sir.
You told them something different about how your aunt was holding that gun, didn't you?
No, sir.
The former cop faces up to life in prison if convicted of murder.
The The reason they have the murder trial is because he's claiming, oh, she pointed a gun at him, but the nephew, Zion, Bill Zion, said that is not what happened. Says that is not what happened. And of course, many of you may or may not know, Atiana Jefferson's father, this happened in 2019. I distinctly remember this, but her father actually died less than a month after Atiana died back on that October day. He suffered a fatal heart attack back on November 10th of 2019. Also, what's interesting too is the neighbor who actually called 911. He also testified at the trial, and he, of course, spoke before the trial when this incident happened. He was actually devastated, obviously, by uh, him making that call to 911 because it resulted tragically in her death. And I'm gonna play some more of that video right quick.
For a welfare check. No domestic violence, no arguing, nothing that they should have been concerned with as far as them coming with guns drawn to my neighbor's house. So
You heard a gunshot last night.
I heard a gunshot, which was a shock in itself because there wasn't any reason for a gunshot that I know of. I don't know what went on in the house, but I know that she wasn't a threat.
We've got a lot to dive into, but first, can you imagine the guilt that neighbor feels for calling police to Jefferson's home? He saw an open door and did what we're supposed to do when we think something's not right.
But when the officers arrived, things went so very wrong. Here's Rebecca Lopez.
And they go open the gate.
James Smith never thought a simple call to police to check on his neighbor would lead to this.
Put your hands up, show me your hands. I'm devastated because people say, well, James, it's not your fault. You're not your fault. But I made a call. I made the call because I thought that they were going to do what I called them to do, check on my neighbor. And they didn't do that.
He says he was sitting on his porch around 2 a.m. Saturday when he saw his neighbor's doors open, which is unusual. Initially, he says he crossed the street and got to the driveway.
And I noticed all the lights were on. It was bright. And I didn't hear anything, didn't see anything. And because I don't have any weapon, I don't know who's in there, if anybody's in there. And I thought best to go call the police.
So he called and waited for a squad car and planned to talk to officers when they got there. But he says it happened so quickly. And when it was over, his 28-year-old neighbor, Atiana Jefferson, was dead.
This is the most tragic thing in my life. Most tragic thing in my life. And there's no erasing that. It can't be erased.
He's lived on the same street for 50 years and says he's always watched out for his neighbors. He says some people have criticized him for calling police, but he says he thought he was doing the right thing.
I've prayed and I've cried. And I've prayed and I cried. Not to quote a song, but I've done that. So now I have to add, I prayed, I cried, and now I'm gonna fight. So I'm ready.
He says he now is going to fight for justice and change so this never happens again. In Fort Worth, I'm Rebecca Lopez.
So he's upset. I mean, obviously, I would be upset if my 911 call led to the death of someone. Because by calling 911, it's the same situation that happened with brother. I mean, we see it in countless situations over and over again. Alton Sterling was one where you had a woman call the police on Alton Sterling when he's out selling CDs saying there's a man with a gun. And it turns out the woman who did it, I believe, was his ex that set him up. And then you had a couple of other black individuals, Tamir Rice, Trayvon was even done by the pig himself who called 911, Zimmerman. So do I necessarily? It's a sad situation. I get that people want to check on their neighbors. Being a good neighbor, he thought probably in the back of his mind to just go ahead and someone check on them. But you got to remember this too. Whenever you call 911 and you're asking for the police officers are not, and I say this even to my clients in domestic situations, when they get busted, they're not therapists. If they deal, it's the same situation when we see the mental health crisis where somebody who has bipolar disorder or split personality disorder, they call the police thinking that they can save them, and the person is holding a screwdriver and they charge at the cops and the cops shoot them. That is not police officers' job is to eliminate the threat. They are taught when they take shooting lessons, when they pick up that firearm, eliminate the threat. They are not there to shoot you in the leg and hope you live another day. That's not what they do.
Aaron Dean is the
And they
only
get off
Tarrant
with
County
stuff like
officer to go on trial for murder while on duty. He shot and killed Atiana Jefferson on October 12th, 2019, in her own home.
this little test on Aaron Dean. This is what WFAA did a week ago. They talked about who he was.
I'm devastated.
He and his partner were responding to a non-emergency call to Jefferson's home.
And they go,
James Smith, her neighbor,
open the gate,
had called a non-emergency number. He asked that someone check on the home because the door was open in the early morning hours. Around 2:30, Dean and his partner arrived. Tatiana was killed minutes later.
People say, well, James, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. But I made a call. I made the call because I thought that they were going to do what I called them to do, check on my neighbor. And they didn't do that.
The officer did not announce that he was a police officer prior to shooting. What the officer observed and why he did not announce police will be addressed as the investigation continues.
At the time of the shooting, Dean had been a Fort Worth officer for only 18 months, but had been a Tarrant County resident much longer. He grew up in Arlington, one of 6 children. He and several of his siblings attended UT Arlington. His parents still call the city home, but not much is known about Dean's family life. He's not married, and none of his family members have spoken publicly since the shooting.
Put your hands up!
Fort Worth police released Dean's personnel file after the shooting, shedding some light on his life prior to 2019. It shows that 2 supervisors during his training were concerned about Dean getting tunnel vision and not observing everything around him. One of them wrote, "He will be so engrossed with what he's doing, he gets tunnel vision and will not hear what's being instructed." The department also released video of his job interview where he was asked this.
Will you be able to kill somebody if you have to? No problem.
Dean had applied to be an officer in Fort Worth once before in 2015, but withdrew.
I did not feel that I was up to the standards.
Aaron Dean.
He was working as an engineer when he decided to apply again a couple of years later. On that application and in his interview, he said that while he was a student at UT Arlington in 2004, he was given a citation by Arlington police after he touched a female student's breast while in the library and then asked she not report it to police.
I was in a very conservative church at the time, worried about tarring and feathering and all that.
Fort Worth police said in a statement they weighed the assault charge when deciding to hire him. It was given significant scrutiny during the hiring process. He also had 2 run-ins with police in 2005 involving an airsoft pistol he carried on his hip that made one restaurant customer nervous. Dean wrote, "An officer responded and gave me a stern warning for my recklessness and disturbance of everyone's day." Fort Worth police moved forward with hiring Dean in April 2018. By October 2019, he was charged with murder for killing Tatiana as she played video games with her nephew.
Black Lives Matter!
Her death sparked outrage and protests across the city.
I'm here to let you know your city is hurting.
It prompted apologies from Fort Worth police and the former chief.
I realize that no action we take can replace the loss suffered here. I'm deeply sorry for what occurred.
Dean shot within 2 seconds after seeing Tatiana come to the window to see who was outside. At the time, he said he felt an imminent threat. In his job interview, he was asked if there was a time to fight.
If there's an imminent threat that I think it is necessary to defend myself, then that is absolutely the time to do so.
In Fort Worth, I'm Rebecca Lopez.
All right, so that was on that. Let me just say this. I want to clarify what I said about Alton Sterling and the 911 call because I said the X set him up. Let me rephrase that for you, Danielle. According, and especially what I say, because I certainly don't get up here and say anything falsely, and I'm not going to slander anyone. Because I said set him up. That's not accurate. Excuse me. What I meant to say was, and I should have clarified, was that I read somewhere that, and I can't confirm exactly the source where I did see it, but I do remember reading that somehow or another a woman had called 911 on him. However, the official report was that a homeless man had called 911 and said that a firearm was being waved at them. So I apologize for that mischaracterization. And I certainly don't want to slander anyone, but I got to be careful with I'm very careful with my words. But the point being, and I mean, yes, Alton Sterling had a firearm on him, and the cops who were involved, Howie Lake and Blaine Salamone, got away with murder. They were not prosecuted. However, one was fired. Salamone, I believe, was the one fired, but he was related to the third. His father was a third in command of the police force, which is true. And that was in 2016. I can't believe it's been that long ago. So I got to I just want to be careful with what I say. But I remember reading that story about the girl. Now, it didn't, according to official reports, they say it was a 911 call by a homeless man. How did a homeless man call 911? I don't know how that even occurred. I've heard it was a woman, but we don't know that. But we don't know for certain. They were never named, according to what I see from any official reports that have been released. But I will also say he was selling CDs outside the convenience store, and the owner of the store allowed him to do so. But it's very hard to get these officers charged with any type of crime because they are given protection with qualified immunity. They are given discretion, especially in the courts. They take their word for it. They fear for their life, and they get away. And sometimes there's a legitimate argument. Other times it's not. That's the prosecutor laying out the case, the opening arguments.
Put your hands up. Show me your hands, then see.
And that was a split second.
You're going to hear that after those things were yelled.
So that was a split second. So y'all hit this like and y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We got to move on to some other stuff, ladies and gentlemen. The next thing I want to talk about, but I will be monitoring this trial and see what happens. But would I be surprised if he got convicted? I would be surprised if he did a little bit, yes. But you never know what may happen based off the evidence. They said according to what you saw with little Zion testifying, people were moved to tears. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is this. Umar Johnson, Dr. Umar Johnson criticizes Deion Sanders why he's wrong. Now, if you watch the Breakfast Schlubs, and I don't necessarily watch them, you can check out this part of this interview that Umar Johnson did on the Breakfast Club morning show with Charlamagne and DJ Envy earlier this Friday. Take a look.
Deion and these other coaches bring all these athletes from high school to play football, basketball, so forth. The revenue of the HBCU goes up, Envy. As a result of the revenue going up, Charlamagne, the schools got more money. They don't have to subject themselves to closure. They don't have to subject themselves to being dependent on white money. You got HBCUs at risk of being closed. I read something that said almost a half of them, a half may not survive the decade. So this was bigger than football. This was about the survival of the HBCU.
It's bigger than Deion,
especially,
though, Dr. Umar.
no,
Yes,
no,
it is. I think
no. Stop trying
you're blaming an individual.
Stop trying to give celebrities a pass, Charlamagne.
No, you're blaming an individual
I'm not
instead of talking
blaming
about
him.
the issue.
I'm blaming black men for not being men.
But you know what?
I'm blaming us for not being men. That was an unmanly move.
Can you admit one thing?
Deion could have went down in history, brother.
Are HBCUs chronically underfunded?
Of course.
Were they chronically underfunded before Deion?
Yes.
Yes.
Will they be chronically underfunded after Deion?
Yes.
Absolutely.
What are those reasons that they're chronically underfunded?
We don't
because we as black men have not come together to create the funding source to make sure they survive. I don't want to hear about the government. We have too many wealthy blacks. Y'all interview them every day.
I'm with you. So you got low alumni donors,
okay,
right?
Okay.
Low endowments.
Correct.
That's a us problem.
He part of us. Why you keep exempting celebrities? They're not better than us.
He's one person.
Okay, but the point is that one man could have been a catalyst for a movement that would have revolutionized the survival of HBCUs.
But why does the movement stop just because he left? HBCUs will still be here.
You're missing the point.
No,
the abolition wasn't just about Frederick Douglass. But if Frederick Douglass would have pulled out, it would have hurt it. The Underground Railroad wasn't just about Harriet, but if she would have pulled out, it would have failed.
So what was the
civil rights movement wasn't just about King.
Before Deion 3 years ago, what was
they were struggling and he could have helped save it. And for him to pull out of Jackson State the way that he did it before making sure the HBCU system survived, to me was selfish. He chose money over the movement, Charlamagne, and celebrities do it all the time. And y'all want to give him a pass. Nobody get no pass. I don't care who Deion Sanders is. He had a chance to help and he hurt, and y'all want to condone that because you black celebrities are not committed to the best interests of black people.
Let me ask you a question.
And after all that, I'm still going to leave Jackson State for a super white college that got a 1.6 black student.
But you ain't let me finish my point.
Rate. Wait.
How can you say
1.6 black students, which means the only blacks on that campus are the athletes, and you're going to tell me that that's a step up? You sold us out for money, bro.
How can you say it's about money when when his track record shows
he stayed for 3 years? That was no commitment. His track record shows that if white people give me the money, I'll turn my back on the HBCU system. What are you talking about? That's what he did.
I disagree.
That's what he just did.
I disagree.
Come on, man. If he would have stayed there, if Deion would have stayed there, like I said, he could have brought other black coaches in, former NFL greats. They would have raised the revenue of the HBCU, which is so critical now. Why? Because the Asians are being financed by white folks to kick what little blacks are left on the PWI campus off. So that means the critical importance of the HBCU is greater now than it's ever been. So for Deion to pull this right now makes it even worse because you're leaving the HBCU system when you had a chance.
So how many lashes for Deion?
Stop trying to exempt black celebrities from accountability to the race. Celebrities are not above accountability. Stop.
I agree. So how many lashes?
Stop.
How many lashes for Deion?
50,000 lashes for Deion.
Now, no. Shut up. More important question. How much you? No.
All right. So that was Deion. That was Umar Johnson on Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State, and he was calling Deion a sellout for doing this. But
individual.
People are funny with stuff like this. I can tell you, and I know Dr. Umar. Let me just say this: I think Dr. Umar is a smart man. Let me just say that. I rarely even talk about Umar Johnson on this program. I've stayed the course away from a lot of the shenanigans and shit that's been involving him, from his school, from his thoughts on certain issues, Pan-Africanism, even in reparations. I was listening to what he was saying and didn't agree with some of it. You have supported him when dealing with stuff in the past, especially when he did Fox Soul with my man Dwan B. Shout out to him. And they were set up. I certainly stood up for him when Roly Poly had those two sellouts on there and attacked him and basically tried to ambush him, and he demolished them one by one. They fell like bowling pins on that broadcast. And if you look at the YouTube views on Roland Martin's channel from that video, that's probably arguably his highest rated interview, his highest rated clip on it. But Roland was such an asshole, and right after that show, that episode, the show was canceled not too long after that. So a lot of people, Dr. Umar Johnson has a large following and fan base, but he's 1,000% wrong when it comes to Deion Sanders. And let me just say this: there is no really a right and wrong way with regards to why our people obviously are upset that Deion left. I understand it from the warfare psychological point, the social point, that it is significant to have someone of that stature to teach at what has long been considered, I guess people have considered to be of lower value, which I don't believe they are, HBCUs. HBCUs are underfunded, doesn't mean that they have no value. HBCUs do have a certain purpose that they serve to the community. They made it possible for a lot, and here's the positive: they have made it possible for people to get an education, to enhance themselves further in life. I went to HBCU. I went to HBCU for law school, and Southern University, which is the only HBCU system in the United States of America, their law school was created out of racism because blacks were not allowed to enroll at LSU and Loyola and so forth at that time, and Tulane. But it changed, and it gave brothers and sisters who could not be attorneys an opportunity to be attorneys. So I'm grateful for that. And yes, I do believe in giving back, but we also got to critique, just like you saying, he's saying Deion is above. Stop. He was telling Charlemagne, and I don't always agree with Charlemagne, that you got to be stop keeping black celebrities from accountability. The same can be said for our HBCUs, because in this broadcast they talked about how they're underfunded, which is true. However, something else you have to talk about is the nepotism, the theft that goes on and corruption that goes on at our HBCUs. That's a reality also. I know because I was at Southern. This is not me airing out our dirty laundry trying to make us look bad, but this was stuff we dealt with. This was stuff I had to deal with. They were sitting on money at Southern Law Center when I was a student there. Even when I went to Southern, when I transferred from Tulane because my family was here and I did so well in my grades, they were screwing stuff up with financial aid. They had kids waiting for hours, days before they could get their refund checks. You couldn't get money to buy books. You're talking about weeks going without stuff. You had to borrow a book. If you were lucky from a friend, you could rent your books possibly, but if you didn't have any money, you were screwed. Because realize that you're in college, so you have to find a part-time job if you're trying to support yourself and you're a full-time student. That wasn't easy. Now, luckily, I had a family I could rely on, but a lot of people were, especially students that were away, they didn't have that opportunity. That wasn't afforded to them. I'll never forget. There was someone was forced to resign back at the law center. I can't remember the lady's name, but this happened. I can't remember the name of the person, but I know for a fact it happened because I ran into that person, and it was reported she was sitting on money that was not that hadn't been accounted for. when I was in law school. So those are things that went on and go on sometimes at our HBCUs. And of course, it also happens, and it's not just there. It's not just there. Yes, it's at white schools too. So I'm not trying to throw black schools under the bus. By no means. It's not. But that is a reality. But you're getting mad at Deion Sanders for and saying he should get 50 lashes because he refused to stay at the school when he actually sacrificed and gave monies to the school. He brought Under Armour there. Under Armour had only been to give them new uniforms. That was through his name that he was able to do that. The only other team that has that in college football are the Oregon Ducks. He raised millions of dollars for Jackson State University. They're getting a new stadium. Pepsi did advertisements with their endorsements and stuff there. You had new facilities. I believe that he paid up. He was actually paying his staff out of his salary for per what I'm reading. Yes, that's true too. I know that for a fact. That happened. I had that confirmed. He wanted to check the books and yeah, they wouldn't let him do it. He and he has a point because that's his money. Bill Cosby wanted to give money, and he's all like I said, he's always been about his HBCUs. And yes, Danielle, I did see Willie D's video on that. But here's what the Umar Johnson didn't talk about in that Breakfast Club interview is that how Deion claimed that at the game he was supposed to get a percentage of the sale from the tickets, and he stated that he saw in the stadium we have 60,000 people in the stadium, but when he gets the receipt, when I checked receipts and we only sold 28,000 tickets, y'all better find out who's stealing because that affects my pockets. Now this was an interview that Deion did with Earn Your Leisure when he was talking about Jackson State and when he left and why he was leaving. And Jackson State now, of course, has responded, but that was one of the rumors as to why Deion Sanders was leaving, that he wasn't being paid. And Jackson State put this statement out saying that they had honored all financial obligations of Coach Deion Sanders' employment. The video in question was filmed on September 20th on our campus, so before he resigned. Before he took the Colorado job. Unfortunately, a second long excerpt using a hypothetical example from an over 60-minute interview is being used out of context and circulated as fact. Now, Sanders' contract, which went into effect on December 1st, 2020, called for him to get 10% of the gate at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium when the number of tickets sold is greater than 30,000 tickets. He was also due 10% of season ticket sale revenue if season tickets were sold above $10,000. Now, and I think what they mean to say is Jackson State owes instead of Sanders. But it says here, I'm assuming, yeah, I think this was a typo. Jackson State, meanwhile, owes Sanders approximately $300,000 for leaving before his contract is up. So I guess what they mean to say is they're saying Deion owes $300,000 for leaving his job before his contract is up. The contract requires Deion Sanders to pay half the remaining salary on his deal if he leaves for another job. For now, Sanders is splitting his time between Boulder, Colorado, and Jackson, Mississippi, as he continues to build his staff and recruit at his new home while preparing his current team for the spotlight of the Celebration Bowl. So remember, they're getting ready to play one more final, and they're going to play it at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is in Atlanta, Georgia, North Carolina Central. That's for the HBCU title. So they had one more after the SWAC championship, and let me say this, and again, this, and here's the thing that your Dr. Umar Johnson is not considering. Y'all know Umar Johnson would jump at the chance if he was offered money to teach at like a Boyce Watkins or a who's another one, Michael Eric Dyson, and I don't care for him, but Cornell West. Do y'all think if they offered Umar Johnson $300,000 salary? I don't know how much Umar makes now. He gets, I know he likes people to contribute to him, send him money. But if he did get an opportunity to teach at a white university, do you think he would jump at that? You would be foolish if you didn't jump at a six-figure deal and you raised your salary from what you were currently making. You forget quadrupling it, you 10 times it. He's getting $29 million. And Deion really, I guess you could say he don't need the money, but you know what? We don't even know what Deion's situation is. Remember, he went through a bad divorce. He has children that he has to take care of. And yeah, he has a high style of living, and Deion, I don't believe he's broke. I don't believe he's destitute, but your money changes, especially as you get older. And this was an opportunity that he had to coach, but this was an opportunity for Jackson State to paper him up. We can't wait on a savior, and that's another problem I had with Dr. Umar's statements on the Breakfast Club. Black people can't keep waiting on one person to change the culture, especially our HBCUs. That is problematic. The Asian community don't wait on Jackie Chan to give money. They're not waiting. Jackie Chan is giving all of his money away. Do y'all know this, to charities when he dies? He's not giving his children anything. He's not giving his son anything. He disowned him. But then the Chinese aren't waiting for Jackie Chan to come help them out. They're doing it for self. They do it already. And I agree that yes, I do believe in giving back. I do think I would love to see. I remember when Southern was looking for a head coach recently, before we got Dooley, there were talks of Aeneas Williams coming to teach to coach at Southern, and I thought that would have been great because Aeneas Williams is a Hall of Fame cornerback, just like Deion Sanders. Maybe not on the same caliber, but a Hall of Fame cornerback, guy well known who has connections in the league. He could probably jumpstart a lot going on at Southern. I think it would be great. And Deion has contributed. Yeah, he was paying his staff. That was another problem. Well, if you watch the Breakfast Club interview, he actually said the school was getting ready to be open. But it's been years since he said that. I'll take him, but and I was watching how I came up about this because I watched O'Shea Du Jackson's story on what his thoughts about Deion leaving. He called him Umar Johnson a loser. I don't know if I would say I'm going to refrain from calling Dr. Umar a loser, but I think Dr. Umar is flat out wrong in how he's addressing this. And you got to remember this too. Deion Sanders in his name, he's blown up the merchandise up in Colorado. The merchandise up in Jackson State has blown up since he's been there. But I've heard we've dealt with stuff like this. So, I mean, Deion did what he was supposed to do. Jackson State didn't do it. And I can't fault him. If you get an opportunity, people that get, listen, you get only one shot at this life. And to be a billionaire or millionaire, I know realistically you're gonna have to work with other people. I can't be a millionaire and billionaire just working in this community. I know that. Now, when I get that opportunity, that also means I'm gonna take what I have and give back. I'm gonna help reach a hand back when I make it, when I climb up. That's how we help each other. But knocking people down because, oh, he got this job, he could have did this. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing? And you try to critique this man. You don't pay, Dr. Umar Johnson doesn't pay Deion Sanders bills. Come on, man. Don't be knocking somebody because, oh, he did this. He's a sellout. He gets lashes. We should be beyond that. Why are we always hating on somebody? He sacrificed. He did what he was supposed to do. He's not required to stay there for the rest of his life. And my understanding too, he's got a brother, he's got somebody out there in Mississippi or someone in the HBCU he recruited a new coach. Now, maybe I didn't care for the way he did it, but he hired an assistant coach. Vincent Dancy. He's trying to, so I mean, he might be successful. Now, he's given just the jury is out on this one. He might very well do good in Colorado. Now, of course, they didn't have the money, but look, if it doesn't work out and they fire him, we know it was all a ploy out there in Colorado. Because they do that. And I get even to a point when Umar's saying like we can't keep something because we always got to go where quote unquote the white man's ice is colder. That's true. In some circumstances, yes, there are black people that think that way. But Deion had to do what he had to do. And look, the only thing I took exception with was probably how he did it, because they have another game that's coming up, and everybody was focusing on Deion Sanders going to Colorado, not on the great stuff that Jackson State's football team did, not on the victory that they had against my Southern Jaguars. We're not focusing on that. So that is probably the only criticism I could levy against him and leaving like that. I would have just waited until after the season to do all of this. But he's trying to get a jump start on stuff. But, you know, we got to stop this hating shit, man. So y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. But, yeah, I didn't rock with Umar on this one. I didn't like what Dr. Umar said. Now, something I do want to talk about our next topic. Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, please donate to the Cash App, PayPal, and Zelle you see at the bottom. I got to do that. Now, how does this trade, we talked about this before, but I wanted to talk about, this is something very important we got to understand, because I know people are looking at this from, oh, she's home, Brittany Griner's home. We all know that she got traded to back to the United States in a prison exchange with Russia for Victor Bout, who is called the quote unquote merchant of death. I've told you what my position on it was, why I was opposed to it. Although, yes, I'm happy she's home. And it wasn't the fact that I didn't want her home. It was the fact that the United States had to give up a terrorist for a basketball player. Now, a lot of people are looking at it, they just look at, oh, we just want the girl home. You got to look at this, though, from an international perspective of what the United States gave up and how this looks to our allies and enemies. Because you know the old adage, if anybody remembers, the United States what? Does not negotiate with terrorists. Now, Russia necessarily is not a terrorist, but you're negotiating with a foreign nation that you are hostile with. And Victor Boots is clearly a terrorist. He was convicted for conspiracy to commit murder on American citizens. He didn't carry it out, but he was convicted for the conspiracy and did 25 and sentenced to 25 years in prison and only did 11 years. And he was an arms dealer. I told you the movie The Lord of War, based off with Nicolas Cage, that was inspired on his story, on his life. And I've just been paying attention to how this looks in the national media, how the international media in particular. You see a difference. Obviously, people in international media, in national media, are happy about it. I saw they were sharing photos of Brittany coming home for the first time. You know, her sister, her wife, quote unquote, wife was sharing pictures of it. And people were excited that she's coming home. But, and you can see everybody was happy about it. Here in the United States, you know, WMB Sar didn't want a long time as she boarded a U.S. government plane that would bring her home. But if you go to the international, we were being mocked. There's Tawana Man. And all of this was a ploy for Putin. So I gotta ask y'all though, because I know that you all were happy that she's home. Some people were happy she got office. Who do you think won this deal? Was it the United States or Putin? Or Russia? Do you think who looks better, Biden or Putin? Because then I go to now that was internet that was on USA Today. Now you look at this. This is ex-Russian spy mocks Griner swap for notorious arms dealer.
United States after the prisoner exchange between the U.S. and Russia, the notorious arms dealer Victor Bout. She can be seen here after landing in San Antonio, Texas.
Are you ready for a flight?
Yes.
Yeah.
Russian state television has been showing video of the two aboard their at another airport in the UAE. And in Russia, commentators there are calling this a victory for President Vladimir Putin. A lawmaker in Russian parliament, for example, said, quote, "It shows Russia doesn't abandon its own while America has shown its defeat." In Washington, some Republicans are also criticizing the swap. House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy writing on Twitter, "This is a gift to Vladimir Putin and it endangers American lives." Former President Trump called it a stupid and unpatriotic embarrassment, alleging that Griner hates our country and asking why former Marine Paul Whelan wasn't included in the swap. The U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has said that this was a choice between getting one of the two Americans back or getting none of them, and that President Biden decided to at least get Griner while continuing to negotiate for Whelan. Bout, who at one point was one of America's most wanted men, was interviewed by Russian television Friday. in which she warned against jumping to the conclusion that Russia got the best of the exchange or that it made Biden look weak. He said, "I'm pretty sure that neither our leadership nor any other thinks in such notions."
That's not what they say in Germany. That's not what they say in international TV. Anthony Brian Logan, and I don't follow him too much, but I listen to some stuff he said because he's a conservative YouTuber. But I listened to what he stated. He did a video, and I couldn't find it anywhere, but Russian media basically was laughing at this. I got to play this right quick, and all credit to him.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Russian media destroying the United States, destroying the U.S. media, destroying U.S. politicians over the Brittany Griner and Victor Bout swap. Now, I've done videos on this, of course. You guys know what's going on. Brittany Griner, WNBA basketball player, was locked up in Russia for trying to bring weed and vape cartridges and hash oil to the airport. She gets arrested. She's been locked up for about 10 months. She was going to get 9-10 years in the penitentiary in the Russian penal colony, having to go out there and work, probably in Siberia somewhere. But of course, U.S. politicians step in and say, hey, we want to get her back. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to trade a high-level Russian arms dealer, a terrorist by the name of Victor Bout, who is serving a 25-year sentence. And he only done 10 years of that so far. They're talking about, oh, he's going to come out in 8 years, whatever. I digress. The whole point is that we're going to trade him for a locked up Marine by the name of Paul Whelan, who had been accused of spying, and Brittany Griner.
Is it me, or did Victor Bout look like Eddie Guerrero when you saw him for a second? And let me say this, Darius, you're right about the oil thing, but here's the thing where President Biden messed up is that you closed the Keystone Pipeline as soon as you got in office. You also closed down the oil reserves that you had in Hawaii and I believe in some other places that you could use to pump oil. So the United States looks stupid doing that. And then on top of this, this is why it's important for you all to read and understand Russian, international media. CNN has CNN International. You can look at and check out, and I know there's also Russia Today, but you can check out some of this stuff online and see what they're saying about us overseas, like Sky News, which is in Australia. I don't watch it all the time, but it's every now and then I'll look at it, and it's funny and interesting when you see stuff like this.
But they were only able to get Brittany Griner and not the Marine. So we left him behind and got Victor Bout. This is very embarrassing. And before I go any further into it, let's watch a clip from Russian media. Of course, it will be in Russian. So you got to read the subtitles on there. And if you want to see this in full without my commentary, the link, as always, will be in the description box below.
Конечно, меня очень позабавило, хотя не удивило, то, что обменяли Бута все-таки на Грайнер, а не на Уилма. Я, во-первых, поздравляю Бута, поздравляю всю его семью. Мы много лет были на связи с его семьей, насколько было это возможно с ним самим, как-то, насколько это было возможно, общались. Это, конечно, огромная радость, облегчение для всех нас. Ну, для всех нас, ладно, что это для семьи?
So basically, so far, if you're not watching the video, she's talking about, she's not surprised that this trade happened, that they only got Brittany Griner for Victor Bout, but she had been in contact with his family and I think with him, and she congratulates him on his return because, again, this is a Russian citizen. Regardless of what he did, that's their guy. So they congratulate him on his return.
Right. I'm gonna, instead of showing Anthony Brian Logan, I'm going to show you the right here. I was looking for it.
Радость, облегчение для всех нас, ну, для всех нас, ладно, что это для семьи, я даже не могу себе представить. Но то, что его обменяли не на героя-разведчика.
Не, пиар нужен.
Ведь он же разведчик. Уиллан, да? Он разведчик, его приняли,
Шпион.
что называется, при передаче информации на флешке. Он там рассказывал, что это он на флешке хотел, вот ему должны были фотографии церквей Сергио Посада передать на флешке. Фотографии церквей по WhatsApp друг другу передают. Правда же, как мы берем? Смотри, где я был. Для этого, да, для этого флешку не приносит. Вполне себе нормального качества, не хуже, чем на флешке. Он разведчик. Ну, для нас он шпион, для них он разведчик, то есть герой. Он морпех, он увешан орденами. У него одна проблема, две. Проблема первая, три. Проблема первая, он белый. Вторая, он мужчина. Третья, он, судя по всему, все-таки гетеро. Понимаешь, а этого сейчас вообще не прощают. Это катастрофа.
Не, ну Грайнер
И
здесь
ты понимаешь,
бьет его по всем
и
параметрам.
как может американский...
You see that? She mentioned, so she, even in Russia, they don't care for this woke stuff. Most importantly, they don't care for blacks. Said he's got three problems. He's white, he's a male, and he's heterosexual. That part I agree with. But let's continue.
Вот американскому избирателю дали выбор. Герой, пострадавший на службе Отечеству. Он же по службе пострадал. Герой, увешанный орденами, пострадавший за то, что он работал на свою родину, на США. Или чернокожая лесбиянка, наркозависимая, пострадавшая за какой-то вейп с гашишем. Американский избиратель...
очень известная.
Да.
Очень известная. То есть в пиаровском плане...
Американский избиратель выбирает очевидное. И я считаю, что для нас это вторая хорошая новость. Первая хорошая новость, что Буд вернулся, а вторая хорошая новость, что нация, которая до такой степени наплевать на своих героев, что она считает значительно более важным вызволить действительно за дело пострадавшую. Пусть она известная, спортсменка,
Но она
неважно.
признала, что она
Но
виновата.
она пострадала не за то, что она родине служила, а за то, что она гашиш свой не могла без него там 10 часов обойтись или сколько, да? Вместо того, чтобы вызволить человека, который 2 года уже сидит, на секундочку, и который родине служил, и за это служить, это о многом говорит. Это много говорит о состоянии этого общества, этих спецслужб и всего того, что имеет отношение к противостоянию геополитическому.
So that's what they said about this Brittany Griner Victor Bout trade. This was a victory for Putin. Don't think that don't y'all think for a second he's going to go off and retire somewhere remotely in Moscow or Siberia. No, if Putin wanted him out and only wanted him, and they weren't exchanging Paul Whelan, they weren't exchanging Paul Whelan with Brittany Griner or any other soldier or veteran that was over there in Russia in prison wrongly for serving their country, it was because they had an agenda. The United States looks bad doing this internationally. Yeah, we're happy from an emotional standpoint that she's home, but it is what you gave up that eventually will bite you in the behind. Mark my words. Now, the United States, of course, they said they tried to get Whalen back and they couldn't. It was a take it or leave it deal. But I ask you all, do you think if if Brittany Griner was heterosexual, and let's say Brittany Griner was Brandon Griner, a dude, do you think Biden would have gone this far out to get him out? Do you think the United States would have moved them out? Be real. I'm gonna put it right now. We actually have the YouTube channel going live right now. I want to know, what do y'all think? Do y'all think that this in the I'm gonna put it right now on in a poll. Do you think the who won between the United States and Russia in this trade? You could say USA or Russia. I'm gonna put it by Russia, United States or Russia. Give me a yes on. Tell me, who do y'all think won in the option chat? I want you to vote. No, they wouldn't have helped her. So I gotta move on, y'all, to our final thing. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. By the way, hit the notification bell. Only way for the share this video. We're gonna go ahead. Last thing I want to talk about, this stuff that's going on with TJ Holmes. This is a hot mess. It's being reported now. Robin Roberts has come out against against ABC, the handling of TJ Holmes and Amy Robach's love affair. Now, those of you who know, we've talked about this before. Amy Robach and TJ Holmes are the co-host of Good Morning America 3. They along with Robin Roberts, Michael Strahan, and a couple other another person, I can't think of their name. They co-host Good Morning America, which is a very popular morning program on ABC, rivaling, the Today Show and CBS in the morning. That's where Good Morning America's always been, part of the big three. And it has come out, we all talked about this, that TJ Holmes was having an affair with Amy Robach, but he was not just having an affair with Amy Robach, he was also having an affair with the producer of Good Morning America, allegedly, and these are all alleged. And now they're saying he was having affairs with other women. And so forth. He has been suspended. Yeah, John, that was Nick Cage. Victor Bow. What's up, Jonathan Rimcroft? He has been pulled indefinitely from Good Morning America, and his replacement, actually, oddly enough, is a guy by the name of DeMarco Morgan, who is an alum, I believe, of Jackson State University himself. Yes, he's a Jackson State alum. So Deion Sanders has something to do with that too. But yeah, so he's going to be replacing, and shout out to him. He's going to get his start. That's a big career opportunity for him. But your TJ Holmes has been pulled, and Robin Roberts apparently, according to Decider.com, is not happy at the way ABC has handled this. According to reports, Roberts is, quote, furious over the affair, which she slammed as messy and, quote unquote, tainting the brand. Roberts has taken her concerns, according to the Daily Mail, to the top and complained to ABC's parent company, Disney, about the network's lackluster response to the scandal. Reportedly, she told Holmes and Robach to knock it off when she caught wind of the affair some time ago. Now, the network is mulling its options for how to respond, and according to sources, one option could cause a racial firestorm, despite Holmes' record as a, quote, supposed, quote, serial cheater. Now, serial cheater is not something that is, to my knowledge, I have ever heard of it being a fireable offense. Now, of course, different companies usually have what's called a sexual harassment policy. Now, that's different, especially if you're making advancements to someone without, obviously they're not consenting to it. You're not in a relationship. That's totally different. Uh, but here you had, according to what has been reported, was a consensual relationship or relationships. And yet it is TJ Holmes who is the bad guy, not Amy Robach. They say letting the black man go and keeping a white woman, it looks like the worst sort of double standard, said the source. Holmes and Robach were taken off the air last Friday and have not been seen together since, despite early claims to be, quote, openly dating and determined to grow their relationship. Yeah, Robach is too. She cheated on her first husband, to my knowledge, with the second husband she married. And apparently, though, the messed up part about it that I'm hearing is that, and you saw the video, was that TJ Holmes reportedly, he was close friends. They were friends with each other's spouses. They go out on dates with each other. So you have your quote unquote friends doing this. That's hurtful. And even his wife is upset about, of course she would, that she thought they were going to get back together and they find out he allegedly is in an affair with her. I don't think it's good. And yes, there's a racial element with it because, Harvey talks about this, that you would actually have someone, you suspend one person, but not the other. Why is Amy Robach back on the air? She can be on, but he can't. See, it's all bad. If you're going to say it's messy and it's hurting the brand, don't just do it for one person. And, here's another problem that I saw, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, she had to get involved. Stale King, aka Gail King, had to get involved, and she called the scandal, quote, messy. Listen.
GMA's Amy Robach and TJ Holmes remain off the air in the wake of their secret affair coming to light. And now rival morning show host Gail King is weighing in with some pretty choice words about the scandal.
Gail King is weighing in on the headline-grabbing love affair between her morning show competitors, Amy Robach and TJ Holmes.
I look at the situation and I do say it's very interesting what's happening over there.
Right.
It's just gotten very messy and very sloppy. I do think that.
The CBS morning show host was asked about the scandal rocking ABC's Good Morning America.
In the beginning, I actually thought, let's good on Good Morning America. They're saying they're not taking them off the air, two consenting adults.
But King tells Andy Cohen, as she learned more details, her opinion changed.
It's just very messy. And I think it's just, to me, a sad situation because you've got kids involved, you've got families involved, and I keep thinking about that. I'm very concerned about that.
We're filling in for Amy Robach and TJ Holmes.
Robach and Holmes remained off
Wasn't
GMA
concerned
3.
She wasn't concerned about Kobe Bryant's family when she talked to Lisa Leslie, trying to make him look like he was out to be a sexual predator. I'm concerned about that. You ain't concerned about nothing but your damn self. Get out of here, Hefner. Did y'all hear somebody even told me that Robin Roberts was upset because it's adultery. This is a sin. Oh, isn't that the big plot, the big black pot calling the kettle black? Reportedly. Somebody told me that. I don't know if it's true, but Robin, you shouldn't be don't mention religion, baby. Don't do it. nothing is sacred anymore. Everything is exposed out in public. Uh, and especially when you're a public figure like these two were, T.J. Holmes and A.B. Robot, you should be very careful and really should be aware. Number one, shouldn't be cheating on your spouse. And number two, you should know if you're gonna divorce someone, divorce them. But and be weary. I'm not gonna say you can't fall in love with someone. Obviously, you work with because it does happen. But when you're out in public like this, when you're a public person, your public personality, everything you do is fair game. And sadly, you drag your children, you drag your families into this stuff because you can't control your hormones.
For a fifth straight day today. Still no word on when they might return. And this now awkward video is going viral today.
These are absolutely two of my favorite people on the planet.
More than a year ago, Holmes introduced Robach and her husband, Andrew Shue, in a segment about a new children's book they had written about their happy marriage.
Of course, you all know Amy Robach and her husband here, Andrew Shue, is a dear, dear friend as well.
Ouch.
My dear friend. Turn around, brother. I shouldn't laugh at that. Then I will. That is bad. I'm not laughing at them personally because I know that's a hurtful thing, but that is bad to find out that your so-called friend is sleeping with your wife behind your back. Oh. Let's take a look at the poll right quick. I wanted to see what the results were, what y'all thought. So according to this, I asked who won from this trade for Griner and between the United States and Russia for Brittany Griner and Victor Bout respectively. And it looks like %77% of you said Russia. Y'all say Russia. Yeah, I think Russia won. That, I actually know Robin Roberts' sister. Her sister is Kellyanne Roberts, who hosted Eyewitness Morning News for many years here in New Orleans. She's a very sweet lady, very nice. So no harm to you, Sally Ann, but I'm just saying, you're sitting, she's probably not watching, but then don't the sister better not be mentioning religion with I'm being real. She can have her opinion. Yeah, she the boss. She the boss of Good Morning America. I don't know. Well, Disney is really the boss. Robin's just probably just the head, the top. I guess the head thing. The THLB, the head lesbian in charge. Like Mr. Clark said, I'm the THNIC. She's the THLIB. LIC. Don't you play that stuff with me. But look, we're gonna wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta get out of here in a second, but y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Please donate to the Cash App and PayPal Zelle to support this channel. We're gonna get out of here. Oh, make sure you order you some Creole seasoning blends, NorniesCreoleBlends.com, ladies and gentlemen. Go to the Patreon for some four-season content. By the way, I probably will upload some of the content from yesterday on Patreon if I get a chance, because it was real funny. I'm sorry, Danielle, I couldn't help it. No one talks in my meeting. Nope. Nobody comes in my meetings. No one. Nobody's coming in. Nobody's coming here on ABC but me. Cut out that backroom hanky panky. That's reserved. I just have this feeling Robin Roberts is like that gay coach that used to substitute at your school. She was the coach and she was a teacher, and you came in and substituted for your class when the main teacher had to be home doing something, was homesick or something like that. What are you doing? That's how she called TJ and Amy. What y'all doing? Where's your pass? All right, y'all, let me get out of here. But in the meantime, Skip. Oh, I was laying them out with that impression of Shannon Sharp yesterday, everybody. They love G. Rich doing Shannon Sharp. Because Shannon Sharp, Skip, made them sing the blues. Because, Skip, I was right on time, Skip. Everybody understood what I was trying to do. Everybody understood Shannon Sharp, Skip. It came from right here. It came under there. I didn't have no laryngitis. I had negrotitis. That's right, Skip. I got my money. Shake, shake, get paid. But right now, we're going to play Feel the Groove. We're going to play Gotta Get On Up. Or as I call it, Feel the Groove, Get On the Floor, Gotta Get On Up. That's right, Skip. We're going to get on up, Skip. So, in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, before you cry, before you sing the blues, if you're feeling down and you need to pay your dues, hit play on the record right here on Apple and listen to Gotta Get On Up in the sample. That's the only way Shannon Sharp could rhyme. He had to make up a word right there. Shay Shay, killing it, Skip. All right. Peace out, family.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat. Cause on the dance floor is where we'll meet. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop, I'll do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you're breathing, you're achieving. So if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll feel the groove. Get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the floor, baby. Yeah, gotta get on the floor, baby. Come on, baby, gotta get on the floor, baby. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the